Dairy cattle are prominently used for the dairy industry. Their milk is a huge commodity that is used in many diverse ways such as milk, cheese, baked goods, yogurt, and many other products. To produce as much milk as possible, the mothers generally have a calf on the ground while also pregnant, allowing for the dam to continually produce milk. Typically, these cows are inseminated within a month of giving birth to keep the cycle going. In many of the dairy production systems, they remove the calf from the mother shortly after birth. However, it is important to the calf's health to make sure that they are getting all of the colostrum from their mother before removing them. Once the calf is removed, it is moved into a jug pen, where it spends most of its time and is given food and water, and anything else it may require. This brings up the question of, is it ethical to remove the calf from its mother early on in its own life for our personal benefit, and the conditions by which we keep them once we separate them? The major stakeholders are the animals themselves, dairy producers, consumers, and veterinarians. The animals are stakeholders because they are directly affected by this practice. They are being used for these industry practices without giving consent that would otherwise be required if humans were being used instead. The dairy producers are stakeholders because they are the people in charge of the animals and making sure they get the greatest production value out of the animals they use and will replace animals they feel are not producing to the standards they require for them to be successful. Consumers are stakeholders because they are buying the products and therefore influence market decisions because what they want reflects how the dairy producers run their facilities. The veterinarians must provide medical care to the animals and determine the capability of the cow in the production system, as well as take care of any illnesses and concerns that may come to light throughout the lives of these animals. Roland describes telos as an animal having its own function in nature with evolutionary and genetic impacts. So in the case of dairy cattle, this would mean them being able to reproduce and raise their babies and not be milked by any automatic machine. Therefore, he would argue that it is in the cow's nature to raise their own calves and for a calf to be raised by its mother rather than removed at the convenience of a producer. A utilitarian such as Singer would argue that a cow would benefit the most people if they were able to produce the maximum amount of milk possible, which is typically done by removing the calf and not allowing it to nurse off of its own mother. Dairy cows should be allowed to perform their natural behaviors, which includes raising their own young. Roland believes cows have telos and should be able to express their most natural behaviors. Weaning calves early and separating them from their mothers in order to increase production, as well as placing calves in individual huts or jugs, inhibits their ability to express natural behaviors. Cows able to nurse their own calves until naturally weaning have also been found to have increased fertility and are able to be used longer, leading to an increased production value. The jugs that these calves are kept in after they are weaned are not always the most sanitary and can lead to the calves getting sick if they are not taken care of properly, which is not good for the industry because females are usually kept as replacements for dairy cattle that the industry no longer plans on using because they are too old, not producing as much milk as they once had, or develop some kind of disease, making them a potential threat to the rest of the herd.
Hi, my name is Betty, and I believe that the dairy industry has no right taking baby calves away from their mothers so prematurely. It just seems so wrong that these calves are being taken away in their first hours of life here on Earth. The fact that these cows have carried them for 9 months and then the first hours of life these calves get taken away from them and they don't get any type of relationship built with their mother, with the calves. It just seems so heartless, and I don't think it's right that these mothers get to carry these calves for 9 months for that calf to be taken away just to produce that much more milk for consumers out there in the market. I don't think it's right to take these calves away from their moms, throw them in the huts. I just don't think that these calves are getting the relationship they need, that the immunity that they need from their mothers. So it's definitely an issue that we as consumers need to stand up to the dairy industry and say that this is something that needs to be corrected.
Hi, I'm Frankie and I'm a born and raised dairy producer with many years of practice under my belt. I know there's lots of controversial issues in the media when it comes to raising dairy cows, so I just wanted to shed some light on the issue of weaned calves. Yes, it's stressful on both the mother and the calf, but it's better to wean drinking off the mother early when there's less of a bond between mother and calf, because then it's less stressful in both animals, which allows for a higher immune system response, as shown in the study done by Holbert. Holbert showed this by looking at the levels of phagocytic and oxidative neutrophil bursts and the amount of pro-inflammatory cytokines. Also, allowing nutritional independence from the mother before complete separation may help with the transition from milk to solid foods, because the calf is then watching their mother's behavior rather than constantly trying to drink off her udders whenever it's hungry. This was tested by Johnson and colleagues when they allowed calves access to automated milk feeders, and found that the calves had higher average daily gains and less distress at its complete separation. This all could fall along the mindset of a utilitarian, because the early separation of calves from their mothers is essential not only for the production, but also for the health of all the animals, so this has the greatest benefit with the least amount of cost overall.